we are on this Saturday afternoon. I know I'm late. So what? We here. We here, and we're gonna have a good time. I think we're gonna have a good time. We got to talk about something today, and I think it's an interesting topic. So let's get into it. Today on the Urban Therapy with Son show, we are talking about those siblings, the siblings that decided not to have children. You know, I think it's a interesting phenomenon. It's an interesting phenomenon when you grow up in a family where there may have been multiple children in the family, boys and girls. Maybe you grew up in a family where they were all boys. Maybe you grew up in a family where they were all girls. Maybe you grew up in a family where there was like 3-1, 2-1. Like I grew up where in my family, we grew up 2 girls and 1 boy. That's me, the boy, the youngest. And but I've known other families where the dynamic was a little different. I've known families where there were more boys and only 1 girl. And in a situation like that, normally the boys in the family are very protective over the 1 girl because, hey, that's all they have, and they probably been taught to protect their little sister, and they go about their business making sure that they do just that. So hold on. All right, let me see. Okay. Hold on. I saw something interesting here with one of the other shows that we've done, and I just want to get this thing. The show we did last night. Oh, okay. All right, there we go. Lately, they've been flagging all of my videos, and I'm wondering why. This seems to be an ongoing thing. I'm not sure what that's about, but anyway, yeah. So I've known a situation where there were a bunch of boys in the family, and there may have been only 1 girl. So sometimes the brothers would harass the boyfriends of the girl, or keep any love interest away from the girl, or keep the girl from being able to have a good have a boyfriend experience with a guy or whatever, because the brothers were always making sure that he checked himself at the door, that he made sure that he qualified in order to be in this space with their little sister. So, but we're talking about what happens when we start to become adults and we start to have children of our own. Now, if we come from a big family, a family where there were multiple children, and then the children of the parents start having children of their own once they become adults, sometimes while they're still kind of young, we've had to deal with teenage pregnancy. It's not a unheard of thing, and contrary to the belief of a lot of people, or to the knowledge of a lot of people, teenage pregnancy is not anything new at all. If you go back probably into your early family history, when you get beyond the when you get beyond the grandmother, you go to the great grandmother, the great great grandmother, you'll probably notice that they start getting younger and younger and younger. And they'll tell you that back in those days, a woman was considered a woman at a certain time, at a younger age, because, to be quite honest, the further you go back in history, the shorter was the lifespan of human beings. So as medical advances started to come along, and we started to be able to cure diseases and treat certain conditions and things like that, we started to live longer, which is where we are now. So it's not that uncommon to hear about people living to be 100 years old or more. But What makes children who have brothers and sisters who have children not have children? What makes you growing up in a family where there were brothers and sisters for you to play with, grow with, develop with? What makes you make the decision not to have children of your own? Now, of course, it's your choice and it's your business. I'm just interested to know what are the thoughts that we have about this situation, this phenomenon, something like a phenomenon telling you about to come along. Yeah. What makes let's say in a family of 5 children and 4, let's say 3 of the children have children, and maybe they have multiple children, but 2 out of the 5 decided not to have children, or 1 out of the 5 decided not to have children. Did they really decide for themselves? Not everybody is capable of having children. There have been times when people have had violent accidents where bearing children or producing children was not possible. Just not possible. There have been cases where women have not been able to carry children, and there have been cases where men have not been able to produce sperm that would fertilize the egg that would allow them to have children. So dealing with a situation like that, let's say it's a situation where you are unable to carry children and you don't want to adopt, because I can understand not wanting to adopt children. Honestly, I can. I'm not really a person that's big on adoption for my own reasons, and this is not the show for that. But I'll say this: there really is nothing like having your own child with your own DNA, your own hereditary information. Basically a reflection of yourself. There's really nothing like it in the world. Now, you can get something really close to that through a niece or a nephew or something like that, especially if you and your siblings share the same mother and father. And that's not always the case. I know of plenty of families, plenty families where there are multiple, where not all the children come from the same mother and father. Let's just make it simple. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have any judgment about that. But when you do have the same mother and same father, the nieces and nephews bear more of a resemblance to you, and more of more characteristics, external and internal. So let's just get that straight. So anyone who has had children of their own and has spent time with their children and has watched them grow from a fetus to a newborn, to an infant, to a toddler, to a young child, pre-adolescent, adolescent, teenager, adult, you witness a miracle. And it seems odd to anyone who has gone through that experience that anybody would want to not have that experience. And sometimes when you listen to, I don't want to say the testimonies of people who haven't had children, but sometimes when you listen to the stories of people who haven't had children, you hear some interesting things. You hear some interesting things. You may hear some things that may make you scratch your head. You may hear some things that make you think that somebody may not have been, or may not be being totally transparent, truthful, honest. There's a difference between being honest and truthful. You might be truthful. In other words, you tell a lot of things that are factual. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're being honest, because you may not be telling the story that was asked of you, or the one that needs to be told. So sometimes when you talk to people who haven't had children, you hear some interesting stories. Some people say that, they wouldn't want to bring a child into this world. Some people say that they want to concentrate on their career. Some people say that they want to be married before they have children. All of these reasons, and there are many more, are legitimate to a certain extent. It doesn't necessarily mean that the person who is using those reasons is being totally honest or truthful. Doesn't necessarily mean it. But only they really know. Only they know. The rest of us are left to speculate or kind of see into the situation. If we really know the person, we can kind of figure out exactly why. Now, I've known people who grew up in large families, and while they were growing up, they had to play the role of an aunt or an uncle or an alternative parent. I've known situations where parents have died young, and so the older siblings were left to take care of their younger siblings. It was either that or foster care, where the families would be broken up, and they didn't want that to happen, so they did everything in their power to make sure that it didn't happen. So in situations like that, I have seen certain people decide not to have children of their own because they may have been so disenchanted with the fact that they had to raise children while they were still children that they just kind of wanted a break. Maybe they already knew so much about children that they said, you know what, I'm good. I don't want any children of my own. Let everybody else go ahead and have the kids. I'll babysit. I'll hang out. I'll take them with me. I'll contribute financially, but I ain't trying to have the burden. I want to travel the world. I want to party till the sun comes up. I want to hang out and not have to come home. Okay. If that's their real reason, even if we don't respect it, we have to respect it, if you will understand what I'm saying. Even if you don't respect it, you have to respect it. And and there's a reason I said you have to accept it. I mean, there's a reason that I didn't say that you have to accept it. Because you may accept a whole lot of things that you don't respect. And you may respect a whole lot of things that you don't even really like. Liking something and respecting something is totally different. Totally different. So, but I've also known children who grew up in large families where they had to always babysit, always had to take their younger brothers and sisters with them everywhere they went. And, they never had any real privacy and all of that. And they still had children of their own. So people take in the experience of being a child differently. I've known only children that didn't have any children. Bust that. I've known only children that didn't have any brothers and sisters that didn't have any children. And it's not always as sweet for an only child as people think that it is. People think that a lot of people who are only children are selfish, or needy, or clingy, or stingy. And honestly, the people that I know, most of the people that I know who didn't have any brothers and sisters, most of them were pretty decent people who were very sociable. And many times they put themselves in a position to be somebody else's brother or sister, because they always wanted that family experience. They never had a little brother or a big brother or a little sister or a big sister. They never had any siblings that they could bond with themselves. So a lot of times they will try hard to blend in with other families. And I'm not saying that in a bad way at all. I'm saying that in a real way. In other words, they wanted that experience of being somebody's brother or sister, so they integrated themselves into certain families. And by integrated, I don't mean that they forced themselves in or begged their way in. It just kind of happened that way. They were those kinds of decent people, to whereas people wanted to be their brother and sister, and they wanted to be their brothers and sisters also. So it was a mutual respect and a mutual bond. All right. But I've also known only children that didn't have any children. And I'm thinking, like, if you're an only child, I have known people who were an only child that, okay, my man described himself as being the only child of an only child. So his mother or father didn't have any brothers and sisters, and then he didn't have any brothers and sisters either. Well, it's hard to grow a family that way. It's hard to keep the family name going that way, isn't it? But it happens. It happens. What up, Carol Chamberlain? Me favorita. Carol Chamberlain, me favorita. Thanks for coming through. So we're talking about the siblings who decided not to have children. We're trying to figure it out. Now, we know that it ain't really none of our business if somebody doesn't want to have children. I understand that. You may understand that too. It doesn't mean that there aren't reasons for it. And it doesn't mean that we can't be curious about it and it doesn't necessarily mean that we won't go into it. So I decided to go into it. Let's go into it. All right. So, if you are the child of an only child and you're an only child, it makes an interesting situation. Like, will you decide to have children because your only child parent decided to have you? What happens if you decide not to have any children? Things are a little bit different with the family dynamic these days. I came from an era where there were big families. I'm talking about families of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6 children. 7 children, 8 children, all by the same mother and father a lot of times. And if they blended families, it could get over 8. Might go into 10, double digits, stuff like that. So when you talk about, let's take like a famous example, like the Jacksons. If I'm not mistaken, all of the Jacksons have children, don't they? I can't speak on that. I don't know. But I know some of the Jacksons have a lot of children, just like the older Jacksons. So I saw like Jermaine Jackson from the Jackson 5. Let's get serious. Let's get serious. Let's get serious and fall in love. Jermaine Jackson had like 8 children of his own. I don't know if they have the same mother and father. I doubt it. But he had, I think he comes from a family of like 8. Eight brothers and sisters, that is. And he pretty much duplicated it. Now, of course, you take somebody like Jermaine Jackson, which is the only example of that I know with, I know how many children that he had. Like Michael Jackson, I'm not sure if Michael Jackson has any biological children. I don't know. Where I would put my money is no. That's where I would put my money on. But I don't know. The man was different. But if he didn't have any children, we would have to say that he was that sibling who really didn't have any biological children. We can't say that he didn't have any children because we have children that bear his last name, have access and rights to his estate, and it is what it is. I may not like the way Michael Jackson did things, but he's not an example of somebody who definitely didn't have any children. And that's not to discount non-biological children, by the way, because I'm not discounting that. Carol Chamberlain says, being a parent is not for the weak. You ain't never lied. Sometimes it can feel like being a parent is not for the strong either. But evidently, some of these siblings who decided not to have any children decided that being a parent ain't for nobody with their name. But I just think it's interesting. I think it's different. And I think it's something that we should take a look at. Like, so you come from a family where there were 4 children, 5 children, and you didn't have any children? Now, granted, some people, just like I was talking about earlier, are not able to bear children or produce children. So they didn't. They weren't able to produce children. Simple and plain. So sometimes when a person knows that they cannot do something, instead of just saying, well, you know, unfortunately I can't bear children, maybe I'm barren. And from what I understand, saying that a woman is barren is like dissing them. Who knew? This would be like a diss. Well, she's infertile. How about that? Does that sound better? I don't think so. But that's the medical condition. So a man who is infertile means that he may not have a sperm count that's high enough to be able to fertilize an egg. Those swimmers ain't swimming. They weak swimmers. They hold their nose when they swim. So sometimes when people know that they can't do something, they will pretend like they never wanted to do it in the first place. So I've known people who couldn't have children, who acted like they could have children but didn't want children. Like, I don't want no kids. You know, y'all got that. I'm out here doing this and I want to do that and blah, 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 blah. Well, a lot of people will say a lot of different things in public, but when you get them behind closed doors and you find out what's really going on. Preppy Sweater says, riding down Livestream Avenue and stopped here. Everybody doesn't want kids. Nothing wrong with that. That sure isn't. We are exploring the reason that people may not want children. Because when you think about it, like I was talking about the miracle of having children. People who have had children know that it is a miracle. Besides all of the work and all of the money and all of the negative things that people associate with having children, nobody wants to, well, I ain't gonna say nobody, but a lot of people don't talk about the miracle of birth, the gratification that you feel, and the way that you can see your history and your future through your children. It's quite miraculous. When you witness your children, and see, this is the thing that you can get from your biological children that you cannot get from adopted children. One thing an adopted child cannot do that a biological child can do is they can share the same reactions to the same experiences that you have had. Plenty of people can have the same experiences that you've had, but only biological parents and children can see the exact reactions to the same experiences. It's quite remarkable. It is. When you see your children sharing some of the same struggles that you had, maybe even the same victories that you had, but the same reactions to the same victories that you had. Maybe the same reactions to the same failures that you had. And you also see your chance to turn it around. Whereas you may not have had somebody there to help you get through those rough patches in your life. you see your children be able to have you. Coach them through it. Guide them through it. Pull them through it. And that's love right there. And so when you have experienced that, you wonder how somebody that shares your same bloodline and your same genetic information could not want to experience that. That's all. Carol says, oh, wow. Nora says, hey to all. He was looking for a show last night. That's what's up. Preppy Sweater says, same as you don't want to date white women or eat pork. It's a preference. Nobody said it wasn't. But guess what? There are reasons that I don't want to eat pork or date white women. So I don't write it off as just a preference. I'll tell you all of the reasons why I don't want to date white women or eat pork. And guess what, Preppy Sweater? Both of them have to do with my health. Want to know why? We'll deal with that on another show. So, but I like that. I like when people try to just give a quick ending, a quick answer. Like, because they don't want to. Knowing that there's nothing in the world that stops with just, I don't want to. Of course, people try to throw you off that way. Like, well, just because I don't want to. Michael Jackson tried to do that. He did. You know, when the whole thing came up about his, alleged pedophilia and all of that, he tried to write it off like some people do this and some people do that. It's no big deal about it. Like, okay. Carol Chamberlain says, I have two brothers who don't have children. The rest of us all have children. That's what I'm saying. Right there. So out of two brothers, now I believe it's 5 of y'all. So 3 out of the 5 had children. I'm sure there are reasons that the other 2 decided not to have children. And it's not that easy for a man not to produce children. It's really not. It's harder for a man not to produce multiple children by multiple women. No, the more women you deal with in your life, especially as a young man, a young, handsome man, it ain't going to be as easy. You know, people try to write it off like, oh, as long as you strap up and all that. Yeah, okay. You think billions of people made it on this earth because it was just so easy to just strap up and all of that? Okay. Just another one of those things that people just try to write off like, all you got to do is, all you got to do. Preppy Sweater says, not you personally. I'm just making an example. It's funny that you use the example about eating pork and dating white women because that's personal to me. I don't know if you watched this show before, but that's personal to me. Preppy Sweater says, I guess this is a one-sided show. No, it's not a one-sided show. You can say whatever you want to say. Doesn't mean one-sided doesn't mean that you won't be challenged. The same way that you challenge me, I'll challenge you back. The same way that you have information and ideas, I have information and ideas also. So just because you do have to understand, I have the microphone though. That's the only difference. I have a microphone. Now, I do have a way that you can speak. If you want to speak, let me know. Because I can queue up Blog Talk right now and I can get you on here. And because I'm using the phone, we can do this. Hey. Let me know. Preppy Sweater says, I'm leaving. I don't know you. Well, thanks for coming through. Peace. One love, Miss or Mr. Because I don't know. Thanks for coming through. I appreciate it. Carol Chamberlain says 5 brothers and me. So that's 6. So 4 out of the 6 had children. Well, that's a blessing. But I'm sure there are reasons that that the 2 brothers didn't have children. Like I said, it's not that easy for a man not to have children. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. We all have a history. And like I said, when you have biological children, you see your history. You see your history in the flesh, and you see your future in the flesh. Oh, Preppy. Oh, I get it. Oh, she's a little, well, it must be a she. This has to be it has to be a female. I don't. If this is a male, he ain't a man. Let me see. It says you must be old. Nobody used Blog Talk Radio, but old people. Well, we're not broadcasting on Blog Talk, but the reason I said Blog Talk is because you would be able to call in to Blog Talk and I would be able to hear your voice. But yeah, I am old. See? So look at this old hair. Look at this old face. I got to be at least 80. I'm old. Old. So old. I mean, I had to limp to the show. You know what I'm saying? Gotta go and do my show now. Can barely get my words out. That's me. So yeah, like I said, Blog Talk is a way for people to hear your voice. If you know, because with me, I would rather verbalize. If I'm going to go back and forth with somebody, I don't want to write because that's corny to me. You know what I mean? But I would, when you really have a thought that you want to get across, you want to be able to say it. You may not always get your point across through the written word. You can get more long-lasting ideas through the written word, but sometimes you need to say it so you can really let a person know exactly what you mean, because things get lost in translation. So yeah, you're right. Nobody used Blog Talk Radio but old people. But it's a tool. And at least I am up on my technology. So it's a way. Preppy Sweater says, I'm a 32-year-old male that doesn't want kids from North Carolina. Wow, I'm surprised you're a male. That's cool. But I'm just speaking on your podcast because I was breezing by and your response wasn't what I expected. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that I'm not sorry. I apologize for thinking that you must not be a male. This is not a podcast because a podcast is recorded. There's a difference between a broadcast and a podcast, and this is a broadcast. We do this live and we do it every day. Now, I don't expect to ever see you again, Preppy Sweater, but we'll be here regardless because we've been here regardless. So one love. You see why I only have 5 viewers a day? Yeah. And I see why you're here, being one of the 5. Appreciate it. And honestly, Preppy Sweater, I think maybe you can't have children. That's what I think. I've got a feeling. I got a feeling that you're not really a man. And I have a feeling that you're probably a man that can't produce. And I have a feeling that you're probably somebody's brother or sister. You're definitely somebody's child. Carol says, stop Omar. Nah, I mean, he started it. He said that this, he can see why there are only 5 people here. Okay. Well, he's one of the 5. And then I can see why he's here. Because he was breezing down live stream street and this caught his attention. Now, what he doesn't know is that more than 5 people are watching the show. It's just that 5 people are visible. When the show ends, you see that the numbers are a lot different than what they show. But that's okay. I mean, look, he wants to play. Evidently he needs attention. So, I'm giving him some attention. Did he leave? I think he left because I saw the number go down. Oh, no, he's still here. Or she. She's still here. Okay. I didn't start anything. I was trying to contribute, but we can't support our people. What do you mean? Who is our people? Who are our people? I don't know. Who are our people? You're not my people, evidently. Look at the way you act. Says, let's not go back and forth. We be in here strong. You just don't see all of us. All right. You know what? You're right though, Carol. Let's get back to the topic. Okay. So like I said, it's a little different when people who have brothers and sisters grew up with brothers and sisters, bonded with brothers and sisters, don't want to have any children of their own. When I grew up with a bunch of cousins. We had cousins. You know what I mean? Like it was a normal thing to have a bunch of cousins. Cousins from your mom's side, cousins from your dad's side. You know what I mean? Like y'all was really, really getting it in. But Preppy Sweater, thanks for your support. I wasn't discouraging you from supporting. You started dissing. I don't think you started dissing, but you started trying to come at my neck. Listen, I'm not new to this. If you ever talk to me, you can't out-talk me. And on a show like this, listen, my man, if I'm a very good friend. So if you're a friend of mine, I'll help you out. And I'm a very, very bad enemy. So if you're an enemy of me, you get your issue. That's all. But salute to you. I appreciate your support. Because either way it turns out, you are immortalized here. Your contribution is noted. But you know what I mean? Like you say you're 32. And one thing about the younger generation is they think they can throw shots, but they can't really take it. Well, I come from a generation where you threw a shot, you took a shot. So you got to know how to throw hard. And trust me, I'm being gentle. I'm being gentle. Because I can fight. He said, I said I didn't want kids and you dissed. I didn't. Where did I diss you because I said you didn't want kids? I said that there are reasons for everything. You're not going to tell me. You're not going to honestly tell me, Preppy Sweater, that you just don't want to have kids because that's it and that's final. Like there's no reason. There are reasons for every single thing in this world. Every single thing in this world has a purpose. Everything that ever happens in this world has a reason. There's a reason why it rains. There's a reason why it doesn't. There's a reason why it snows. There's a reason why it doesn't. There's a reason why it gets really cold. There's a reason why it gets warm. There's a reason why the river flows into the sea. There's a reason why the sea is salty. There's a reason why certain animals, fish, can live in salt water and they can't live in fresh water. There are reasons for every single thing. So you're going to try to tell me there are no reasons that you don't want to have children? Come on, stop it. You're not being honest with me. You're not being honest with yourself. That's all. You're not being honest. I know that there's some people who don't want to have kids. I know that there are reasons that they don't want to have kids. Guess what? There are people who have children, and they have reasons that they had children too. Not all of them wanted children just because they wanted children. Not all people who had children because they wanted to carry on their legacy, or because they wanted to build families or communities. Some people had children in order to trap people, get money, keep someone in their lives. Some people have had children just so their dying their dying parents would have grandchildren and see grandchildren before they left. There are reasons for every single thing in this world. Everything. So he says, okay, wait. He said, it's all love, brother. Have a great day. Wish you peace and good blessing. I wish you the same. Carol says, the best friend to have right here. That's what's up. Preppy Sweater says, I just prefer not to have kids. It seems like a lot of work. Okay. See, seeming like it's a lot of work. See, that's a reason. You see? I told you. There are reasons for everything. Right there. Boom. Emily Dunlap in the house. I said it, Emily. And she says, Omar, why are you explaining? Get back to the program. I like to explain. You know, gotta get clarity. That's what this is here for. Emily says, my sister-in-law never had her own biological children and have raised so many children. So yes, she is a mother in my opinion. Mine too. A mother, being a mother or a father is more than just what you produce. Being a mother or a father is what you give. It's what you give. It's how you act. You know? I've been taught that a father is one who furthers knowledge. So as you teach people things that they can use, you have basically fathered them. They're not under you. Being a father is not about being above somebody. It's about giving somebody what they need from a male perspective, a man's perspective. Preppy Sweater says, just like people don't want to go to college, people don't like to drive, people don't want to have kids. Does it have to be a reason? No. Yes. The reason that some people don't want to go to college is because either they're not smart enough to make it through, so they don't want to take the time and waste their money. A lot of people don't want to go to college because college is expensive, and they've been told that college is a scam. So you're going to go to college and you're going to graduate and not have enough money to pay back your student loans. Yes, there are reasons. There are reasons that people don't want to go to college. There are reasons that people go into the military, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You think they're just going into the military just because they graduated high school and didn't want to get a regular job? When you go into the military, you have to consider that you might have to kill people and that you might be killed yourself. So of course there are reasons that you go. If you make it through, then you get a skill. It's easier for you to get a job. Your pension is set up for life. It's a good look. There are reasons for everything. Yeah. Reasons for everything. Every single thing. Carol says, it is a lot of work. Yep, sure it is. Preppy Sweater says, do you have kids? Do you want kids? Were they planned? Yes. Not one anymore. And no, they were not planned. I would never plan a child. Are you crazy? Planned children suck. And I'm not kidding. I've never seen a child that was that came from a planned pregnancy that worked out. The best babies come from, oh man. All right, well, we gonna do this. Good looking out, Carol. I didn't skip the question. I answered this question. You said, do I have kids? Yes. Do I want kids? No, I don't want any more. I said that. And were they planned? No. What? What we doing? Let me ask you a question, Preppy. Do you have brothers and sisters, and do they have children? Do you have brothers and sisters, and do they have children? He asked, did you want the kid that you had? Yes, but no, it was not a planned pregnancy. I don't know how many times and how many ways can I say no? No, it was not planned. No. I don't even know any planned. I wasn't even a planned pregnancy. And my mom and my dad were married. My mom did not plan to have any more children. She said she was done. She was done. And then she had me. I was the last stand. He asked, if you didn't have your kids, would you have had them? Yes, I always wanted children. I never wanted to not have children. There were times in my life that I didn't want children right then and there, but I've never wanted to go through my life and not have any kids. And as far as children being a lot of work, I don't see anything in this world that are worth more. I don't see anything or know of anything in this world worth working for than children. Like for what? If I go to work and I work, I'm going to make my boss a whole lot more money than I'm making. But at least the money that I make will go to my babies and give them a better chance to maybe have their own business and be able to get paid their own worth. So yeah, I definitely don't want to work all of my life just for myself. I would rather do that for my kids. So as far as something being a lot of work, yeah, it's worth it. It's the only thing I know that's worth it. Okay. All right. Oh, Preppy says, I have two brothers, and yes, they have kids. One apiece. All right, cool. And I am answering the question. Listen, I don't know how you want. I don't know. This is why, if you were actually speaking, I would be able to understand you better, because you're saying I'm not answering the question correctly. Emily says, Preppy, tell him how you would like for him to answer the question, and we can move on. Emily getting frustrated. How do I look at people who don't? How do I look at people without kids? I look at whatever they have going on without kids. This show, I don't know if you know, we do a show every single day, so we cover a lot of topics, a whole lot. But how do I look at people who don't have kids? People who don't have, I didn't have my first child until I was 35. A whole 35. So I didn't rush into this thing. So if you don't have children, I look at you as an adult, or you might be a child. Plenty of people don't have kids. Doesn't matter on this show. Preppy says, my buddies and I were discussing this issue the other day, and I just wanted your opinion. Since you were speaking on the subject, I will subscribe. I appreciate that. See? Sometimes you can have discourse, and sometimes things work out in the end. Sometimes. I'm glad it did. I am. So in a family where all of the children or most of the children have children, and then you have one, okay, in my own family, we have this situation. Me and my oldest sister, I'm the youngest, and the oldest, we both have children. My middle sister doesn't have children. Now, I'm sure that she has her own reasons for not having children, but she didn't have any. And she's been married twice. So it's an interesting situation. So, but for whatever reason, she didn't have children. Was it biological? I can't say. But one thing she has never said that she didn't want any kids. Now, there were times in her life when she didn't want the kids at that time, but she has never said, even to this day, I never wanted any children, or I just wanted to do this or do that in my life. She didn't say that. Now, whether that's the way she felt, I mean, I can't speak on that, but what she verbalized was that, yeah, she wanted children. She was just looking for the perfect situation. And that can happen. That can definitely happen when it comes to siblings who don't have children. They may be looking for a perfect situation. I have a friend who is an only child. I have a friend who's an only child. And there was a time when he was in a serious relationship and he got his girl pregnant. And he wanted his girl to have an abortion. He wanted her to terminate the pregnancy because he didn't want to have children out of wedlock. He believed that he should be married, or that he wanted to be married when he had children. But I guess he wasn't ready to marry her at the time, and they didn't get married. And she did have the abortion, and to this day, he doesn't have children. But guess what? She does. She wanted to have children, and she had children. He doesn't have any children to this day. He never said that he didn't want children. He never said that he didn't want children. And this is not somebody I just know in passing. This is somebody that I know. So, and he was an only child. So, evidently he had his own reasons for not having children even till this day. And evidently those reasons aren't that he's infertile. He was evidently shooting, with the force strong enough to produce a child. But that child didn't come into this world. Okay. Preppy says the point I was trying to make is that they think when a man doesn't want kids, he is gay. That's not it. No, we're not going there. I know for a fact that that's not always the case. And by the way, a lot of gay men have children. What about that? And I know gay men. I've known gay men who wanted to have children, even though they was gay. And they wanted children by a woman too. We got all flavors in this world. No, I'm not saying that you're gay. I wasn't going there. I was not going there. Because I've known plenty of people I've known plenty of gay people who had children trying, because they were in the closet and they was trying to throw people off. So we're not doing that. We're not doing that. You are not gay just because you don't have children. So now I understand what you mean by when you were saying I'm not asking the question correctly. Nah, we're not doing that. Nah, dog. No. I do not think that a man is gay just because he doesn't have kids. You know when I think a man is gay? When he doesn't want to have sex with women. That's what makes you gay, when you don't have a sexual attraction to women. As a man, you're gay. because you didn't have kids. There are plenty of ways not to have kids. Okay, you said I didn't say you said it. Society thinks it's some. Well, you know what? I'm surprised that you say that society says that, because society caters so much to the gay community now that, and in the LGBTQ community, there's so many of them there that have children, biological children, adopted children. I mean, especially the women. Most of the lesbians, it seems like they all have children. Even look at the brat. Look at the brat. How old is the brat? Like 45, something like that. Something like that, right? She waited all the way until she was in the closet, whatever. I mean, a lot of people in the industry always knew that she was gay, but anyway, she had a child recently. What, in the past year or something like that? So, nah. Maybe years and years ago, decades, maybe back in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, or something like that. Maybe if a man was a full grown adult and he didn't have any children, maybe they thought that he was gay. But I don't think that's the stigma anymore. There's so many ways to you mess up your sperm count now. You might have been on heavy drugs or well, that can do it. Being on drugs, all kinds of. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of these vaccinations, it's hard for a black man. Carol says she's in her 40s for sure. Yeah. So all of her being in showbiz, there were plenty of men who wanted her, gay or not, while she was in her 20s, 30s. And she waited all the way to her 40s when she's fully out of the closet and fully gay. Then she has a child. We all look like she got a baby in the belly. What the hell? She out there sneak dicking. Preppy Sweater says, people think you're selfish when you don't want or have kids. Well, that can be true sometimes. Because I have heard some people who didn't want to have kids, they expressed it. And they said things like, kids are expensive. And I'm like, being single is expensive too. Who thinks being single is not expensive? The only people who think being single or not having kids is inexpensive is people, or should I say, are people who have a lot of kids. But think about when you are single and you don't have any kids. Normally, you want a lot of expensive things. So you may live in an apartment that you would never live in if you had kids because you just wouldn't be able to afford it. So you living in an apartment, $2,000 for rent. You wouldn't do that if you had kids. Maybe you like to travel the world. So every now and then, if you just, have a hankering on a Wednesday, like, yo, I think I'm gonna fly out. I got my passport together. I think I'm gonna fly out to Paris for the weekend because you got the money like that. You might do that. If you had kids, you probably wouldn't be able to do that. You would have to set up certain things. You couldn't just take off and leave. So I don't know if you would call it selfish, but I have heard some people who didn't have kids say that they didn't want to have kids for what I would call selfish reasons. But that's selfish in my opinion. Carol says, not selfish, Preppy, just everyone is not really cut out to raise children. Take a look at how the young ones are acting today. I've known plenty of parents who probably shouldn't have had kids who did. Crazy thing is, some of those parents wanted kids, some of those parents didn't. It can go one way or another. We about to get out of here. We haven't done a show for a whole hour in a minute. But I enjoyed myself. I appreciate you coming through, Preppy Sweater. Good conversation. Good conversation. And a good way to bond, too. Preppy Sweater says, my opinion, people who have kids find reasons why people without kids are just self-centered. It's never heard from people without kids. Me and my wife discussed this before we got married, and she didn't want kids either. Okay. Hey, when a man and a woman are in agreement, nothing can be better. Now, y'all may not have wanted kids. You know, I've seen situations like this change also. You never know. You never know how you may feel. At 32, I felt a lot different than I did at 42. And both of those were different than I felt at 22. But at 22 and 32, I didn't have kids yet. So, I appreciate y'all. Let's do these birthday shout outs. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious November 4th. Sorry. November 4th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special, because they are special, because they are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They get number one out the box, my girl Melly Mel Blake. Happy birthday to you. And also Peace Azubuke. Happy birthday to you. And Ashnaya Powell turning 63 years old today. And Gerald Smith, happy birthday to you. And also Latoya Wilkerson turning 40 years old today. And my man Ak Diesel, happy birthday to you. And Janet Hart, happy birthday to you. And Misty Bull, happy birthday to you, turning 44 years old today. And my girl Tracy Wiley Young, turning 55 years old today. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all in good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious November 4th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on it, do the damn, the rock out, rock on it, do the damn, rock out, rock on it, do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind, and anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, man, listen. We have siblings who don't have children for whatever reason. It may be selfish reasons, it may be good reasons, it may be biological reasons, it may be psychological reasons. And we didn't have a lot of time to go into some of the psychological reasons that some of our siblings may not have children. But one thing is for sure. Whether it's your mother, your grandparents, your aunts and your uncles or whatever, somebody is going to question one of your siblings that doesn't have children about how they don't have children. People can think whatever they want to think. People can feel however they want to feel. But there are reasons for why we want to have children and why we don't want to have children. Because when you really think about it, the decision to bring somebody into this world and to raise them and be totally responsible for everything that they do until they are old and responsible enough to take care of themselves is a big decision to make. Now, not everybody puts a lot of thought into those decisions, but it is something that needs to have considerable consideration before you delve into it. So let's remember that. So for our brothers and sisters who didn't have any children of their own, they didn't give us any nieces and nephews, hopefully, at least they will contribute in raising their community, our community of their nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters and mamas and daddies and Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. I love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow with another Urban Therapy with Sun show at 1 p.m. So make sure that y'all come on through. And please make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. And I want to say peace. All right, y'all.